Hey, what is up, chat, internet, all over the world? It is your headmaster corner there in the bottom left corner, the headmaster of the Gaming Academy, GQAzndood, with another fun-filled episode for y'all tonight. It is August 5th, 2025. And man, it is cooling off here in the Pacific Northwest in Bellingham, Washington, and we are having a much better time suffering through the stock room here at the Gaming Academy. But yes, welcome back to another episode of the Gaming Academy, where we gauge how much of a gamer you are and all the XP that you build up of watching our show. So, welcome. Good to have you back. Tonight, we got another class. So, take your seats, equip your best gear, because it's time for another session at the Gaming Academy. Of course, if it's your first time here, I'm the headmaster, GQAzndood, and tonight we're keeping it streamline packed with XP rich discussion. Now, we'll also be joined with Blazing Ace Nelson here to feature a guest character for the new Fatal Fury game, so keep that in mind. But speaking of guests, tonight we're not going at it. We're not going through it alone, just like in Zelda. Though joining us at the panel tonight is not tragically Lee, because he's busy having a life, right? But we're having a man with the H that matters. That's right. Eric with an H is here. And if you don't know who he is, it's okay. We don't either. He's here to help us dissect tonight's syllabus with extra critical hits of insight. So what do you say is a deck for class 43? Well, let me break it down for you tonight. So first, we're kicking things off as normally with this week in gaming history, a time travel trip to the milestones, mishaps, and memories that dropped this week in gaming's long and pixelated past. And we're also going to be doing the roundtable tonight, where tonight's topic is also heating up. Should video game demos make a comeback? Are we overdue for a return to playable previews, or has the streaming era changed how we try before we buy? And of course, like I promised you, after that, the tech segment returns, because last week we were really busy with jam-packed stuff. Ace is diving into the mechanics of the new character, guest character, Ken Masters, and City of the Wolves here for Fatal Fury. And then we'll also shift gears to now playing, of course, sharing what's everyone been playing from in our current gaming rotation, backlog clears, and of course, which games are eating up our free time this week. And finally, your favorite segment and mine, we'll close it all out with the final boss, where I'll hit you with this week's life leveling lesson. Progress isn't always on screen, but the grind is still worth it. So strap in, squad. Class is now in session, and you're about to gain some serious gamer quotient. So let me introduce everybody here that's here tonight. Let me get the. I always kind of forget what should I name you. I want to call you the Marshall Ace. I don't know why. But some sort of like I guess like the drill sergeant also. There could be so many things for you, but cashier at Brawl Mart sounds pretty good. I just
I
saw that
mean,
as well.
where's the lie though? That's look, being an assistant professor here is my part-time job.
Yeah, we don't pay very much here. That's a fact. That's a fact.
But
Yeah.
anyways, everybody, it's great to see y'all. If y'all don't know who I am, allow me to reintroduce myself. I'm Ace Nelson, aka Blazing Ace, aka your favorite rookie, and of course your favorite cashier at Brawl Mart. We've got some pretty solid stuff to talk about this evening. Like GQ said, we're going to be keeping things a little bit more streamlined. We're going to be, honing our focus in on, a few specific topics that are, as he said, very XP rich. So you're definitely going to want to break out your notebooks, get your best number two pencils, and get ready. You're going to learn today.
You're gonna learn today. Hey man, but before we get too deep, let's introduce this guy that we just randomly found, in the corner of Bellingham by State and like Washington Street. So let me introduce you uh, to Eric with an H. What else can I say? See, he just works
It's
here,
true. I was lost.
but now you are found.
Exactly.
He's like, hey man, you want to be
The
on a
nice thing
podcast?
nice thing about the hot takes that I have, if you don't agree with them, I just work here.
That's true. That's true. And so one of the things that we feature here at Gamer Quotient, right? And I don't know if you've ever looked up gamer or gaming quotient, but the definition that comes up all the time it's kind of fancy. But if you look up the pure definition or meaning of gamer quotient, it just means how much of a gamer are you is pretty much what it means, right? So the quotient is the amount of how much of a gamer you are. Now, gaming comes in different forms. And you can either be a video gamer, tabletop gamer, card gamer, D&D is game, right? So this is not just limited to just video games. Though it is majority of that, it is not limited to video games. So on occasion, we'll be chatting about, I think we've talked about in the past, like some stuff that Magic the Gathering has done. I know Pokemon's making a big thing right now, and we've even had people that play D&D on the channel as well. So out of those things, Eric with an H, which one do you think you're the most of?
Oh, I'm definitely a tactile gamer. A lot of the stuff that I do on a week-to-week basis is heavily revolved around gathering with friends in the real world. Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, board games.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I still love video games. As I get older and older, I seem to be navigating towards that in-person relationship that I can still get with those games.
Okay. All right. So you're more of like a social gamer, right? You like the person to person, sounds like.
Which is really ironic because I'm definitely an introvert. I worked in sales too, so I must be some sort of like masochistic introvert.
They call that omnivert. I looked it up. I googled it. No, but it's kind of interesting because there are people out there that do like hanging out with people, but they do require a recharge. The main difference is that usually introverts still like hanging out with people, so they get a bad rap, right? But it just they just have a battery life when it comes to that. While extroverts, they get energized by being around people. It doesn't mean, like it doesn't necessarily mean being an introvert, like you don't like being around people. It just you need to recharge after a while. So that's what I learned not too long ago. So but omnivert seems to be a little bit of both. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm both. So we just call it omnivert. But yeah. Well, it's good to have you on the show, man. And of course, if there's I always like having somebody that's not in the universe of what we talk about sometimes. So this way you can ask questions and kind of be like, oh yeah, what's your perspective on that matter, right? So I kind of like having a variety of different people come on. So, but yeah, that is what I call
excellent.
That's right. But before we get too deep into debates and breakdowns, you know what we do here at the Academy. We always start by giving respect to the pixelated past. So let's spin up the chrono drive because we can't say DeLorean, we'll get sued. Set the dial to nostalgia and take a trip through the milestones, memories, and maybe even a few misfires that dropped during this week in gaming history. All right, where's my thing? Damn it! Here it is. Yeah. I need more buttons on my deck over here. So, yes, if it's your first time here, guys, this is the segment we call This Week in Gaming History, where we cover game releases from Sunday through Saturday of this week. In this case, it's going to be what, August 3rd to all the way to August 9th, right? So let's get started. And if there's just a game here, you're like, whoa, I remember that game, please let us know. But otherwise, we'll try to cover all the games that we've kind of grown up with and also played. So this way we can share you a little bit about our history with these games. All right, first game on the list here is August 3rd. Game featured tonight is, of course, the one and only Dynasty Warriors 2 on the PlayStation 2 in 2000 in Japan. This was also part of the release launch of the PlayStation 2 in the United States. This is ironically the first Dynasty Warriors in Japan, or 2 in America, right? But 1 in Japan, the Shin Sangoku Musou, because we count the first one here as Dynasty Warriors, the fighting game on the PlayStation, right? Ace, you're the expert.
Yep, but yeah, you pretty much nailed it with that intro, though. This, Dynasty Warriors 2, kind of had to deal with the same sort of localization and naming and number scheme as like Final Fantasy, for example, where the third Final Fantasy game to hit the States was actually FF6. The second Dynasty Warriors game, or the second Sangoku Musou game to hit the States, was this one right here, was Shin Sangoku Musou.
So we were 1 ahead, right? Just to be
yeah.
Okay, we were one ahead. Okay,
but this is also kind of the start, the genesis, the prototype of what came to be known as the evolved beat 'em up, the battlefield action game, the Musou genre of action games. And like even now, you can kind of see, just taking a look at the intro cinematic, that you can kind of see the seeds of what the series was aiming for, even just through like how they were going to be setting up their intros and how they just like create these wild, exaggerated caricatures of these historical figures.
Yeah, I mean, before Dynasty Wars, I actually knew nothing about the three kingdoms. I knew about them in like I guess what's the strategy version of this? I think it's just called
Three Kingdoms.
Yeah, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, but that type of gameplay didn't really interest me, right? So I never really considered it until this one came out. So I don't know.
Oddly enough, like my experience with Three Kingdoms, media actually started back in I want to say 95 with Sango Fighter on the PC.
Okay,
there was a 2D Three Kingdoms fighter on the MS DOS.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. The only other thing that I recall, that me playing that's like Dynasty Wars related before this was the arcade, was Warriors of Fate. That was it.
Yep.
Right. It was the beat 'em up. That was the only thing. And then I was like, I don't know these characters, and I come here. That's what I learned about, the whole history and kind of like the relationship between the three kingdoms, etc., etc. Don't fuck with Lubu, shit like that. So stuff like that. Now, like, I know you've played a Dynasty Warriors game. One of them at least.
Right. But it's like this. If let's compare this to KOF. Dynasty Warriors 2 would be your KOF 94. Right? It's still a sort of, it's an advancement from a previous game from that developer that showcases more characters in that setting. And then if you want something more refined that actually like really introduces folks to the series proper, your KOF 95 would be the equivalent of Dynasty Warriors 3.
Yeah, 3 definitely felt like the complete version of 2. And that was even before the Extreme Legend.
That's the game that consumed
3?
me.
Warriors 3?
Dynasty Warriors 4.
Yep.
I spent hours playing those games.
How many weekends have we sacrificed that Lubu chasing us down where we're in red health and just kiting him and tagging him with random Mustos to finally pull
Do
off
not
the win.
pursue Lubu is like should be a holiday card.
Never.
Do not pursue Lubu. If I walked into a store, all right, and there was a sign that says "Do not pursue Lubu," and I was like, "Where? Like, what do you mean? Is he nearby? like what's going on?"
Like,
So yeah,
look,
you played a lot of 3, a lot of 4, Eric.
Oh, absolutely. Really good time there. And I mean, just gosh, what was I must have been in middle school when I was really playing it, and
Yeah.
wow, just having the ability to see everything on the map like it's showing right now, where everything is just so real-time strategy evolved. You know, you could really see Lubu just taking out your left flank and then having that internal discussion. Do I need to stop him or do I need to push on? Can I win this fight if I take this right flank? You know,
Yeah.
too good of a time. Absolutely.
All right. So would you say something, Ace?
So, quick question: Were you hazed by Hulao Gate? Because I've mentioned this story on a few podcasts back, but when my brother introduced me to Dynasty Warriors 3, kind of reintroducing me to the series in that regard. It he's like, "Hey, you're good at games. Help me with the stage." And I'm like, "Okay, how do you play this?" And we went through the controls for a little bit, and then after I helped him with the Yellow Turban Rebellion, we got to Hulao Gate. He said, "Okay, tackle this one on your own." Man.
The irony of Lubu being at Hula Gate, he's literally gatekeeping your progress in the game. That's the funniest part about that is I do remember, like, man, I can't get past the bouncer. Like, he's through. This guy is just wrecking my shit. Oh, nice ad.
Let's just say, brother is the Muso skill check.
Yeah. No, it's just like I'm watching this now and I'm like, this is number 2. My memory with number 2 was like I didn't own a memory card when I first got a PS2, so I had to play this stage a lot when I was a kid. And so I had to leave my PS2 on to keep my progress, right? Because otherwise I'd lose it until I got my first memory card. So that's my story with Dynasty Warriors 2. It's about as basic of a Dynasty Warriors that you can get. It is technically the first one of all the Muso games. So, but man, like, little did we know that this game would lead into like clones and like other games inspired by the same combat style, and it just evolved into this like this whole genre in itself, kind of like when we play other games. They're like, oh yeah, it's like a Souls like game, right? But like Dynasty Warriors created its own genre. Yeah, it's like a Muso game, right? So like it's just one of those defining games on the PS2 that really set off like its own genre. And right now I think there's like plan. They tease that the 25th anniversary of a Dynasty Warriors is like they're gonna remake one of the games, right? So we don't know what it is yet, but it's
but there is a remaster incoming, plus additional DLC coming up for Origins.
Yeah, for Origins, and I feel like Origins is one like Dynasty Warriors 2 like kind of redone again, right? So I have a feeling they may go with like probably 3 is the most impactful one. How far do they go in Origins, since I haven't really like played it yet? Like what a timeline do they stop at, or do they keep going all the way?
Origins starts from basically like end of the Han, so Yellow Turban Rebellion up to oh my god, up to Battle of Trevy or Red Cliff.
Okay, so that was the same, I think, in Dynasty Warriors 3. So it
pretty much goes. Actually, no. 3 actually goes to the Wuzhong Plains.
Okay, then 2 was the one that ends in Red Cliff. Then,
yep.
So because I know like there wasn't really anything after that in one of the games, and I think 2 was the one it stopped there. So if anything, they may be remastering 3 for us, because that was also a really impactful one. That's the one, like Eric said, like kind of set him on the path, right, to play these Dynasty Warriors games. So that's just my guess. I don't know. What's your guess on that, Ace?
My guess, if anything, I would say, like, I could think of one of three games that they'd be remastering, and these would be like, the most. These would be the series defining ones. It'd either be 3, because just like you said, 3 actually goes past Red Cliff all the way up to basically the end of Shoe.
Yeah.
It'd either be 3, 5, or 8.
5 or 8. Okay. Yeah, those 8 would be a good one. 8's like the biggest one. It's like the KOF 98 of Dynasty Warriors, in my opinion, right? So, but yeah, no, I'm excited for that news, and hopefully, like, we get more details on that. And I, as a Dynasty Warriors fan, I feel like I've committed a crime by not playing Origins yet. So, but it's okay. It's not part of my. I just realized that I'm only 40% through my A to Z gaming challenge, right? So that's why I got to crank up the speed, and I can't get distracted anymore. Must stay focused, Kings. That's what we got to do. Jay Ghost in the chat says, "Hey KT, you reconcile with Itagaki and get the fighting division back in order." All right. Well, and then Blue Riot Bot says, "Origin stops at the river level." Thank you for that.
Yeah, I mentioned it a while back, but I also think it would be pretty hilarious if, while all of us are guessing that it'd be one of the actual Russo titles, it would be hilarious if what they actually remastered was the Dynasty Warriors fighting game.
Well, I feel like they would remake that game 100% as a fighting game. So, but yes, a game that I think requires another remake. Just kidding. But Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout on the NES came out in 19. Wow, that's all B's. Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout. Good job. that was pretty good. Armored Core 2 came out on the PS2 in 2000 in Japan as well. Doom 3 on the PC in 2007. I wanted to throw this in there because it was a Muso game. Bleach Soul Resurrection PS3 on the 2011th. And here's a random one that they could remaster: Dynasty Warriors God Seekers, which came out on the PS3, PS4, Vita in 2015 in Japan. Do you remember that, Ace? That is a reach.
I remember it, but that was one of the spinoffs I actually haven't had the chance to play.
Okay. I think God Seekers, they were trying to go with like a mythological approach to Dynasty Warriors, right? They're like
kind of like what they did with Strike Force.
Yeah. Basically, I think it was pre-Strike Force. They just called it God Seekers. But I do see a note here for Armored Core 2. This is arguably the jump from Armored Core 1 on PlayStation in the PS2 era, right?
Yeah, with the release of 2 on the PS2, it was still one. It was one of the earlier titles, not quite launch, but still, pretty early in the PS2's lifespan. But the sheer visual leap from the first 3 games, or from the first game and its expansions on the PlayStation to the PS2, and of course the fact that now the whole story with the mega corporations and everything was more visibly a sort of off-world or alien world kind of thing. It wasn't necessarily Earth focused like you could say that the original Armored Core was. But this one also expanded on each of the different weapon categories, like adding more different weapon arms to your builds. And I forget whether it was 2 or its expansion, Another Age, but this one actually has weapon arms that are actually like dual laser blades.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know. It's been so long. Like I haven't even played the latest one yet. I know Eric has just I know Ace has been playing it recently, and Eric, you've played it not that long either, right?
Absolutely. Phenomenal game.
Yeah. What is I guess what's your thought on like have you played any of the older Armored Cores at all, minus Sans this one, Fires of Rubicon?
No, I got into it in Armor Core 6, so
Okay.
I'm distinctly unqualified to talk about this game.
No, here, no. This is why I
But I
asked
mean,
you.
if you
Go ahead.
absolutely, but if it's really interesting to see just kind of like the climate um, of this specific sci-fi around the 2000s. You know, I have distinct memories of not only Armor Core but Mech Warrior
Yeah, for
and
sure.
like HeroClix, Mech Warrior local game stores. And I think
BattleTech.
this was
Yeah.
yeah, right. And I feel like that was really the height for people wanting to explore this genre of giant mechs destroying stuff, space battles, all that fun stuff. So I can see why it succeeded the way it did.
It's this is one of those things where you ask a Dark Souls player, these are the games they made before Dark Souls, right? And it's very like revealing to like to like, wow, they actually made games like these, like, you know, outside of their like wheelhouse, right? I also think I feel like From Software also made like a racing game at some point. I think that was Bethesda. They made some random F1 racing game. You're like, Bethesda made an F1 racing game? That's really weird, you know? But yeah, Armored Core to me, like, I think 2 was the one that I really got into a lot as well, just like you, Ace, you know. PS2 had some banger titles, and I like, you know, if I didn't have internet and I chose a console, it would either be a Super Nintendo or a PlayStation 2. That's like my choice of, you know, weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, just overall, I thought it was just one of those like mecha titles. I was big into like BattleTech around my teenage years as well. So having like this without being exposed to Gundam yet, I thought like this was like the US versions of Gundam, right? America's Gundam.
You honestly, I don't think anyone would really blame you.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Like, we didn't have a lot here. We had BattleTech technically was our Mech Warrior was like the West version of like Gundam, but Gundam has that like bipedal, like, you know, flying around kind of mech, which Armored Core had more of than BattleTech. BattleTech was all heavy payload, right? So it's very lumbering, like giants, you know. So that's why I think I equate that. I don't know if you can read the chat, Eric, but Andre says hi in the chat.
Oh, hey, Andre. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Ah, man, DW2. That's right. But yeah, that is big, you know, Dynasty Warriors 2, and Dynasty Warriors 2 and Armored Core 2 for August 3rd. All right, moving on to the next day here. My choice for feature was Rampage. Came out in 1986 for the arcades, and I, for one, love kaiju battles, and this was like probably the arcade game that really, like, wow, that's a kaiju. I'm gonna play that game. Put my quarters in it. Right. So and it's a classic. You know, you play as 3 genetically modified humans that turn into these rampaging monsters, right? One is a parody of Godzilla, one is a parody of King Kong, and the other one's a parody of the Werewolf Man, right? Ralph, Lizzie, and George, which is kind of funny that they have really funny names. And they get what do you call this? I think the story, and this is kind of stupid because they have a story. They got they ate like some experimental terrible like food that they were putting in like the food by an establishment called Scum Labs. Like, wow, okay, that's right on the marker right there. So but yeah, ironically enough, also, like, as I got older, I found the marquee artist for Rampage. His name is Brian F. Collin, and I actually added him as a friend on Facebook, and we've been chatting about his next project. Either like he did the art for Rampage, also he also was in the movie Rampage with The Rock, right? He was like
Nice.
a consultant to that movie. He also did the art for other games like Pigskin, Arch Rivals, Xenophobe. Have you played those games, right? The old school arcade games. He's the marquee artist for all those games, and he's also made a game on the Genesis called General Chaos. But Brian F. Collins, super chill dude, Midwesterner, and he loves his work. And I asked him about, like, you know, what inspired you to, you know, do these designs, and, you know, he's a super responsive guy, like, and, you know, it's very cool to like meet one of your like childhood like inspirations, because when I was a kid I really loved artwork and I really love art. So to meet the guy that drew the Rampage marquee art, I was like, this is kind of cool, you know. So
Heck
that's
yeah.
my story of Rampage. I don't know. Are you guys fans of Rampage? Are you more old fashioned like the arcade one? Do you like the World Tour version, which is like the more modern PlayStation N64 one? Do you think we need another Rampage? What do you guys?
Well, firstly, definitely the arcade one. That was the one where I got my start, and I remember playing it the most when I would go on like school field trips up to. Yeah, we would go up to the ice rink up in Blue Jay, California,
Mhm.
and at at that rink, sure we'd always spend a little bit of time, on the ice, kind of like we would at the roller skating rink in town. But when I wasn't out there on the ice, I was over on the arcades, and it was Centipede, Rampage, and Street Fighter 2 all lined up.
Wow, that is a classic arcade lineup.
That they had the hitters coming out of every nook and crook.
Yeah.
But Rampage was actually the one that I honestly spent the most time on, even more than Street Fighter.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like this game, it was a 3-player arcade machine. Very attractive. Like when I say attractive, like it catches your eye when you walk into the arcade.
Mhm.
Doesn't have a lot of music from what I recall, but it was very loud when the buildings came crashing down. Right? That's kind of what I remember about this game. And my first experience with Rampage was actually at a Little Caesars, the big ones, the ones with the arcades in them. And that's when I first started rampaging as a child. So I don't know. What about you, Eric? Do you have experience with Rampage or story similar to it?
I'm coming into this with zero clue. I mean, I'm looking at this video here. So it's a 3-player game where your objective is to destroy the buildings,
Yeah.
not
So
take damage. What's going on?
the funny thing about this game is that you start off in like Chicago because it's a Midwest game, and you go around the United States busting down cities just like you see here. Now, remember, keep in mind this is an arcade game, so the objective of this game is to take your quarters, right? So you get one life. Your life is right up there, as you can see. Everything in the stage damages you. Like if the soldiers damage you, if you fall off the building, you get damaged, right? Everyone's shooting at you, and to get your health back, you just eat people, right? Like as you see there. And then there'll be
That's
like
what it does.
yeah, there'll be like random power ups too on the screen, like chicken and stuff like that. But ultimately it's like getting the high score, right, and getting as far as you can with like 25 cents. That's kind of the goal. It's an arcade game, therefore there wasn't a lot of plot to it. It was just a lot of just pure entertainment at that point.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, it's to me like it's very unique. Like the artwork's really cool. It honestly feels like I'm playing a comic strip. That's when I look at this game, right? And it's probably my number one selling point of Rampage. It's like the visuals. In 1986, this looked really good, especially for the art aesthetic of it. Like you were playing a comic strip that came to life, right? So that was my big one for 8-4. But some other games that had come out on the 4th, as you heard it on the intro, Bubble Bobble came out also in the arcade in 1986. Also, that's a banger song. I don't know if you guys know that, but Bubble Bobble has one of the hardest like intro songs in gaming history. So just wanted to let you guys know.
It really does.
Dynamite Heady on the Genesis in 1994. And chat, if you know who Dynamite Heady is in 1994 from the Genesis, you've earned your nerd stripes. Not a lot of people know who that is. So Google it and you'll find out. Also, another Armored Core game had released on the 4th of August on the PS2 in 2005, Armored Core Last Raven. So that's interesting because it doesn't have a number next to it. So is that like an expansion to 2?
Actually, Last Raven is one of the expansions slash sequels that. Well, actually, Last Raven is kind of a standalone game that came out after 3. So 3 had its expansion, Silent Line,
Yeah.
and then there was Ninebreaker, Nexus, and Last Raven, which was like
Nerd. Wow, you know a lot of Armored Core. I love it.
But yeah, Last Raven was like basically the last Armored Core game on the PS2 that kind of rounded out basically rounded out the narrative that was starting in 3.
Okay.
But it was
I learned
also one
something
of
today.
Yep, and it was also one of the first games that actually started using the control scheme that now most folks are familiar with from Sekiro or Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne.
So
That
now,
the control scheme that they used for that, with your triggers being your basic attacks,
yeah,
started in Last Raven.
chat. Now you know who to call if there's any Armored Core trivia. Just to let you know.
Maybe.
All right. I don't know if you guys can read chat, but Jagos threw a what do you call this? What do you call that? An audible to us. He goes, all right, well, he
Deep
says
cuts.
he goes, for extra credit, can you identify these three games or these games? Chikan, a Forever Man on the Genesis, and also Kid Chameleon. I know both those games. All right. So just let you know. I didn't have a Sega, but I knew about those games because I wanted to play them. So that's one. Chikan, which is like
Okay.
a zombie man with two swords, right? And Kid Chameleon was like pretty much Little Nemo, the Dream Master, where you can change into different creatures as your character. But your character, it was a kid that was cool because he was wearing a leather jacket. That's right. So Eric's like, "What the hell are you old people are talking about?" Let me show you, Eric. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
Please.
Kid Chameleon on the Sega Genesis. Look at this coolest kid ever.
Right? How 90s is it?
If you had the leather coat in the
16
'90s,
bits of aura.
you were definitely the coolest kid. That's all I gotta say. Because I didn't have one. So look at that. So now he's like this like football player with a helmet. But it's a platforming game. And then you you turn into different creatures with different abilities, right? Let's see. Like for example, let's do.
Actually,
Now, now he's
that's
Jason.
Firehouse Mask.
Yeah. Now he's Jason.
But seriously, what this makes me think of, as far as like a more recent, a more recent sort of comparison, Skull, the Hero Slayer.
Oh yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
I mean, you're literally running around like as a skeleton, changing forms by changing heads.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw that helmet at your house, Eric.
Oh, you definitely had.
Nah, it's super cool. Yeah, and it's like and that's what Jago said. You change heads, you know. And Dynamite Heady, which is kind of funny because like it's kind of in the same wheelhouse as this game, right? But it's definitely much more colorful. So all right, some other games that had come out. Let's finish this list here. Grandia 3 on the PS2 in 2005 in Japan. A weird, obscure, like hard to say roguelike, but it's not really a roguelike, not yet. Castlevania Harmony of Despair came out on the 360 in 2010. Has anybody played that here? Have you played it, Ace?
I'm trying to remember. Was that the one where you could? Was that like the 4-player one or like 4 or 6?
Yeah, it was the 4-player like boss rush one.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'll show you guys here. Yeah.
Yo.
Very interesting. So it's like Symphony of the Night graphics, right? But then you guys team up to take down the boss at the end of the level. But like your guy is like limited in power. You guys have to literally like level up your characters, get to the end, collect abilities. It's kind of like Elden Ring, Night Rain. Very similar.
Okay.
Yeah, old fashioned. Also, Rare Replay came out in 2015. If you guys were a fan of Rare games, Xbox did pretty much a compilation of all the Rare games that came out, from all the way to OG Killer Instinct to an obscure Game Boy game called Saberwolf. That's right, Saberwolf. So, also, Fall Guys had released on the PC and PS4 in 2020. So while everybody was at home panicking through COVID, they were playing Fall Guys. So I know I was one of them. That was a really fun game, and then hopefully it comes back with like some sort of like incentive to replay the game again. Eric, you played Fall Guys for a while, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those pickup games.
I remember there was this one tower level where all you had to do was drop all the way down to the bottom and just get rid of all the platforms. Automatic victory.
You were that guy. I see.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely,
it
I
was like
was.
3 levels of vanishing plates, right? I think. Yeah. So you had
Yep.
that strategy. Yeah. So by the time they all got to the
Oh, yeah.
bottom, like they had no plates left. Yeah. You're
Oh
like,
yeah.
I hate you. I hate you. Go away. All right. August 5th. All right. Super Mario World 2, arguably the sequel to Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo. Yoshi's Island came out in 1995 in Japan. And man, this game was really pretty. It was really weird that it was like like a prequel to Mario Brothers, Mario World, and I was kind of lost because it has as a kid I'm like it's a sequel, so therefore it should continue the story, right? But when did the Mario Brothers game ever continue the story? I'm asking for something silly, but it was weird because now I'm playing Yoshi, and my the thing that I have to take care of is Baby Mario. So, have you guys played this game?
Man, I spent hours, literal hours, in front of the Super Nintendo kiosks at Target playing this thing.
This game was really pretty.
I've never
From what
played.
I remember.
I've never played this one, but I played the Nintendo 64 version
Oh,
when I was really young
okay.
of Yoshi's Island, and that game gave me nightmares. Because when your Yoshi dies, the little shy guys come down, they fly, they pick up your Yoshi, and they bring him to the Dark Tower
Oh,
castle in the distance.
that's traumatizing.
Not good. Oh, it absolutely not good.
Oh, Lord.
They cannibalize Yoshi. They just see him
Oh,
as a
you die,
giant
you see them
chicken.
come and carry off Yoshi, and you're just like, no! They're all crying, coming out your nose, tugging on your mom's arm, like, Mom, they killed Yoshi.
Jago said,
Please.
"Never beat it, but man, Mario crying, yeah."
Oh,
So it forced you to get good, so you don't hear Mario cry, because
right.
Mario crying was like nails on a chalkboard. You know?
Mario crying was Super Nintendo's answer to the Sonic drowning theme.
Yeah, that's true. But like, I was just so amazed about how far they took Super Nintendo graphics with this game. Like, I was honestly like in awe of how pretty this game is. Like, it felt like you were playing a coloring book, right?
Yeah.
So I'll fast forward to show you like the gameplay in your chat. Check this out. Look how cool that looks, right? That's just like a very pretty game. And keep in mind, this is a 16-bit console. Like, this is not like a PlayStation game. This is not an indie title on PC. This is, well, what, 1993, right? Or 1995 tech. That's amazing. Nintendo works the magic, right? So with this game. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And
Now,
then,
I
of
don't
course,
have a lot of experience with this game either. So
and then, of course, just the whole thing of, not just running around as the different colored Yoshis, but also like just like getting used to like aiming and firing the eggs and like having them bounce at different angles and stuff.
yeah. Okay, here's what's messed up. Don't Yoshis come out of those eggs?
Yep.
And you're using them as ammunition?
Yep.
That's dark. That's dark. I never thought about it that way, but man, now I'm thinking about it, that's pretty dark. So here are my children, take them.
Pretty sure in real life there are literally animals who, when faced with a predator, will be like, "Here's my child.
Yeah, no,
Have a good day."
there's a lot of animals in Australia that do that. They're like, eat my children, not me. Like I read that somewhere. I think koalas do that too. They literally sacrifice their young just so they can
It
survive.
sucks to be you, Junior.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Let's see here. Oh wow, did he melt? Oh, he turned to a mole. That's crazy. Yeah, it's been a while since I played this game. It's kind of wild. Another cool game that was on the retro console back in 1993 was Rocket Knight Adventures. That's a little game from Konami there. And it was like, I think it was, they were trying to battle like the Awesome Possum theme, because you're a possum that's wearing knight armor with like a rocket pack. Now, Eric, this game seems like it's in your wheelhouse. It's got a knight in it. Have you ever played this game?
Unfortunately, not.
Okay,
Although I'm
I
down.
gotta ask, man. That's
It
all I
does
gotta
sound like
do.
an awesome possum.
I gotta, I remember Awesome Possum. Let's see here. So was your retro console the PlayStation 2 or the N64?
Definitely the Nintendo 64, although I had
Okay.
older cousins who primarily played the Super Nintendo, so I have vague memories
Yeah.
of watching them play games like this. But when I finally got my hands on a controller, it was definitely
64. Okay.
64.
So but that helps, like, kind of gauge like what your retro scene is, right? Because my retro is like regular Nintendo, the OG Nintendo, right?
Right.
So it just changed for each of us. Speaking of N64, a little weird obscure game called Hybrid Heaven had come out in 1999 in Japan. The box art to this game was very edgy. I don't know if you guys remember Hybrid Heaven. Ace, Eric, you guys recall Hybrid Heaven on N64?
I recall the name, but I'm gonna need to see the box art. Just
Okay. I'll bring up some gameplay. Check this out. Some other games that come out that day also: Shenmue on the Dreamcast in 1999 in Japan, and also Silent Hill 3 on the PS2 in 2003. So Hybrid Heaven was actually one of the games that had the most attractive box art on the rental shelves. A lot of my game experience comes from renting games when I was a kid because couldn't afford them, right? So a lot of the time I just go to the local store, and I tell this to chat all the time. I fortunately had a local store that was a privately owned video store, which had video games for rent for $2 a piece. You just returned them the next day. They're 24-hour rental. So pretty cool. Let's see here. All right, so this is Hybrid Heaven. That looks like Terry from King of Fighters. Right? Eric's like, the N64, it's coming back to me now.
playing the age-old question: is he shirtless or is he wearing a leather vest?
That's a commercial from Hybrid Heaven.
Question.
All right, there we go. There's more of that. Does this game ring a bell at all? No?
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique title. The title kind of almost looked like check this out. So Hybrid Heaven, let's go back. Like that's the box art right here. You ever seen this box art at all?
I've seen the box art.
Yeah. It's cool. It's like, whoa, is this game like the Matrix? But then it's like plays nothing like it, and you're like, oh, it's trash. But yeah, Hybrid Heaven is an interesting one. Also, I think it also had released with Metal Gear during that time too, so that kind of took a lot of
that's why I remember it now, because the box art definitely had that sort of Metal Gear feel to it.
Well, here's a game that you're gonna remember, Ace, because you love this game. on the 6th of August, Chaos Legion PS2 came out in 2003. Now, before you get on your tirade about Chaos Legion, Eric, do you know what the hell this game is?
Unfortunately, I do not. After going from the Nintendo 64, I unfortunately went straight to Xbox, and that's where I spent the majority of my next gaming career, kind of playing a lot of first-person shooters and racing games. But this looks amazing. I would play this right now if you showed up with this box.
All right, so Ace, tell this young blood what kind of. First of all, a couple of things. What did the industry describe this game as, and also, what kind of game is it?
So, as far as what the industry described this game as, I honestly don't know.
You don't remember? They referred to it as a dramatic opera.
It kind of makes sense, all things considered. But I literally, Eric, you'd play this game right now if you saw that box art. That was pretty much what got me into it. I saw the box art. And
he's pretty cool. He's pretty cool looking. I'm not gonna lie. Sieg Weihart. He's also German, by the way, right? His name is Sieg Weihart from where.
But Chaos Legion is a character action game. Along the same veins as Devil May Cry, but unfortunately, it didn't get as much support and not as much polish as the Devil May Cry games. But this one came with a really interesting concept, which I feel like was actually explored and expanded on much later on the Switch. But I'll mention that in a moment. But the thing about Chaos Legion, the big thing about its combat, is that what you have access to are legions, literally, demonic assist troops that give you different abilities and also have different attacks that you can use with them. So, like say the first Legion that you start with, which I think is Malice, I believe it was.
They're all like named by like sins, I think.
Yep. But
Neji.
Malice is basically like the sword fighter. So when you have it equipped, it increases your combo length, but also gives you different things like jump cancels. And when you call out the Legion itself, it's literally like a demon sword fighter that comes out and does slashes to, like keep the enemy pinned down while you're running around doing your thing.
This game's pretty.
It's very much a sort of gothic opera in terms of the setting and also in terms of like the story itself that it tells. But yeah, just look at this dude. It's this is Capcom trying to do something different but still basically capitalizing on Devil May Cry.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw this game, I was like, "Oh, it's like Devil May Cry," but then you play it, and it's like it's Devil May Cry and like Dynasty Warriors combined, ish. So subjective, right? So,
Now,
I would check it. Is there a digital download of this, like in PS4, PS5?
I don't think so.
They really forgot about this game, haven't they?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I was going to mention, the first stage that you start with, though, they actually give you access to the Ultimate Legion Thanatos. So you get to see, you get kind of, I guess you could say, a vertical slice of what you'll eventually have access to once you play later in the game, and you unlock access to that Legion.
Okay. Well, what kind of a game would you call Chaos Legion? Like,
it's if we're going by like modern descriptions and genres, it's definitely a character action game. Like literally, if you want to know, like if you want a good idea of what Chaos Legion plays like, jump on your Switch and pick up.
Oh, it's on Switch. Nice. DVD-ROM, man, it's been ages since I saw that. That's crazy. Okay, yeah, check out Chaos Legion. One of the Capcom's like weird, obscure games, like God Hand, right? Because that was like their era. They were trying some new stuff. So give it a shot if you like character action games for sure. Here's a game that you've probably not played yet, but have heard of. There's a game called Braid on the 360. It came out in 2008. Anybody know Braid?
Heard of it?
Yeah, so it was a puzzle game. Plays a character like trying to pursue a princess, right? It was based. It's like based on like memory, I think. So it's a very interesting type of gameplay. The other one is Tales of Xillia on the PS3 in 2013. Also, Mutant Year Zero: Road to Eden on the PC and PS4 in 2019. So I see one here for Tales of Xillia. So why'd you choose that one, Ace?
I chose that one because, like, while most folks were still, really hyping up like Tales of the Abyss and Tales of Vesperia on the PS2 and the Xbox 360. Tales of Xillia was like that was the one that really grabbed me. Like that was like the next game in the franchise that really grabbed me after I had played the original Tales of Destiny, Tales of Eternia, and of course on the PS2, Tales of Legendia and Tales of the Abyss.
Yeah.
This was also the second game in the franchise to actually feature a lead character that was a brawler. So
your favorite.
I had to get on that.
Your favorite. Now, Eric, have you played any Tales games? It's like Tales is like the same as Final Fantasy. It's Tales of something.
I feel like I've played Tales of Symphonia.
Okay, that's a good one. I actually played that one too. Hey, what'd you think about it? Down.
It was so long. It was so long ago. I can't remember. But
do you recall the combat at all of the game and how it played?
Gosh,
try to show you the screen here. So Tales games like are pretty action oriented, right? It's like they're definitely more active. Like Star Ocean, I think, is very similar.
Yeah, but on the on the Super NES, PlayStation, and pretty much up to I want to say the PS2 and GameCube era. It was more. It was what they call linear motion battle systems. So it was literally like on a 2D plane,
Yeah.
but you were still actively controlling your characters and doing their attacks, combos, and special moves. But on the PS2 and heading forward, they actually started incorporating more lateral 3D arena style movement.
Yeah, which is now like what you see in Tales of Arise and stuff like that.
Yep.
Super cool. Yeah, I know like from working at Reset and working at GameStop, if Final Fantasy wasn't your thing, at the time during this era, what year was this? 2013. This was the era where you were like, I'm really not into Final Fantasy, but I still like JRPGs. Tales was the other option. If you don't like Armageddon, here's Deep Impact. that's kind of how it worked back in the day. So that's what we recommended to people at the store. Like if you don't like Final Fantasy, but the competitor that's out right now that's equivalent as far as popularity and like I guess like I would argue like quality, Tales of, which is weird because like Namco isn't really like known for RPGs, but they are very well known for Tales, so which is cool. I wanted to talk about Mutant Year Zero, but it's a really weird one that's like a XCOM game, but you're playing as mutant characters. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that game.
That's what I've heard of, but haven't played.
All right, let me show you what it is because it's I'm all about showing weird, unique games to y'all. So let's see here.
Speaking of games that you showed me, I downloaded what do you call it? Downhill Domination.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I haven't sat down to play it yet, but
as long as you're loving it, man, let's it's fun. Eric, have you played Downhill Domination?
Can't say that I have.
So this is before I get into Downhill Domination. This is Mutant Year Zero. So it's a tactical strategy game. So right now you're collecting stuff on a map, right? But you play as three main characters. I call them Boarman, Duckman, and Woman. That's what I call them. And it's like you collect guns and like scraps around this like post-apocalyptic world, right? And your guns have a specific range, specific weight, so it's much more detailed. So let me fast forward to like a combat scene, and I'll show you like the gameplay. Right, so it plays much like XCOM, but a little bit more like Baldur's Gate 3, where you're not really on a grid, right? But you're like your movement takes like energy and and stuff like that. So the real selling point, yeah, the real selling point of this game is really its weird, unique story. It's like they don't tell you about like how come there's mutants running around with shotguns, right? There's also like regular people still around. So it's not like a world building thing where everyone's a creature. It's like creatures mixed with humans, and the game doesn't tell you what happened. But as you play the game, it slowly unveils it. Yeah, Howard the Duck. Yeah. Yeah, it's super inexpensive if you're bored and you're like you want to try something different. This focuses more on the per character versus like permadeath and like replacing your character. So it focuses more on character building, which is nice. So check that out if you guys are a fan of the genre.
Okay.
Mutant Year Zero. All right, my choice for the 7th was the direct sequel to Tenchu Stealth Assassins, Tenchu 2: Birth of the Stealth Assassins, another prequel sequel. And I don't know, Eric, Asa, are you guys familiar with the Tenchu series?
Yes. And I got the chance to play a little bit of 2. Definitely liked what I played. Haven't really completed it, but I did play through and complete the first one.
All good. Well, Tenchu is literally the precursor to Sekiro, Eric. If you haven't played it, a lot of people compare Sekiro to like Bloodborne and Souls games, but honestly, it's more of a Tenchu game. And Tenchu 1 was like pre-Metal Gear, so like it was focused on stealth attacks and like sneaking around versus fighting everybody on the screen. And Tenchu 2 really just drove the mission and the objective home by like giving you like more selected characters, more mechanics, right? More stages, better graphics. So it was the complete version of Tenchu. And then anything after this is just like excess, in my opinion. But this was the origin story of Tenchu also, which was really good. And this is the game that inspired Sekiro. And so you see Activision there also, same company, right? But this is
Oh yeah.
when people argue, oh, is Sekiro a Souls game? No, it's actually a fancy Tenchu game. So and if you haven't played Tenchu, like it's hard for you to kind of like see that because you don't have the reference point. But if you have played Tenchu and you've played Dark Souls, you can easily distinguish between the two, right? So, and some other games here. I'll name off some other games that came out all for the 7th. Alien Hominid. You guys remember Alien Hominid?
Yeah.
Eric, are you familiar with Newgrounds? Are you old enough for that?
Yeah, the website.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, man.
So when I do
They
Alien
got
Hominid,
Tanks and Bowman.
yeah, and you're gonna be like, that's from Newgrounds because that's where it's from. Show you guys here. You guys remember Castle Crashers, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So Alien Hominid is actually from the same guys that did Castle Crashers. I think they're called Behemoth Games. And let me show you here. Yeah. So but before there's the Newgrounds guy. But before they made their own publisher or they actually officially went in video games, you can play Alien Hominid on the browser. On what do you call this? On Newgrounds. So that's why I bring up Newgrounds, like because I'm an old man from an ancient time. Castle Crashers getting DLC on Thursday.
Like
don't cite the old magics to me. I was
there when they were written. And then some other games that come out while we're enjoying the amazing animation. Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon on the DS in 2008 in Japan. That's the one with Marth remade on the DS. Yep. Tales of Vesperia on the 360, exclusive on the 360 in 2008 in Japan. For not the US though. My game of choice was Brothers: The Tale of Two Sons. That's an interesting one on the 360 in 2013, and Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice on the PC in 2017. Pretty good day for game releases. A lot of decent ones. But yeah, this is pretty much Contra with like a lot of humor.
This is amazing.
Super fun game. All right, move on to the next day here. All right, Ace, this one's all yours because on the 8th of August, Street Fighter 2010, the final fight came out on the Nintendo in 1990 in Japan. So tell us everything you know about the final fight in 2010.
Absolutely nothing. Well, I guess you could say it's kind of topical that we've got Street Fighter 2010, the final fight. So, not just my absolute love of Final Fight and Street Fighter, but Street Fighter 2010 was an odd duck. It was like a sort of a random far future spin-off that actually had Ken as the main character, wasn't it?
Far future? This was 15 years ago. What are you talking about?
It was far future back when it came out.
For real? That's crazy. Oh, that's not it. Hold on.
But nah, it was...
Ken had no interest in the frontier. That's the first one. So
that's right.
I know. Ace is speechless because he loves this game so much. This was like a weird platforming, like Mega Man-esque game. You'd pick like a stage, you'd fight through it, then you fight the boss, right? And then you would use the moves that you acquired, throughout the game and to leverage them against the bosses, right? Has nothing to do with Street Fighter, kids. Has nothing to do with Final Fight whatsoever. But they use those two names in this game to try to sell this game for some reason. I have no idea. We should really look up the documentary of this game, because they shoved 2 titles in this thing, and it was nothing like the 2 titles that they mentioned.
Right. Yeah,
I,
it was like Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within.
yeah, that's true. That's 100% that. 100% that. And the reason why I chose this is because this is like one of the most notorious like switcheroos of like marketing. You know, like you see Street Fighter and you see Final Fight, you're like, this game has to be good. Then you're like, this has nothing to do with Street Fighting, nor it is the Final Fight at all. So it is not great. It is not great. Here, I'll show you here's what the gameplay looks like. You're like, so this is like Punch Man, Mega Punch Man, right? Has nothing to do with Street. There's no Street at all.
It's,
you know,
it's more like, well, if anything, I'd say it's more like Ghosts and Goblins.
I mean, it is, but like the fact that you get to pick your stage, I think. I remember. Can you pick your stage? Yeah, because you collect enough of those, right? You fight the boss, and you move on to the next one, right? And I think you get their power too. Like once you kill them, it's from what I recall. I mean, I'm old, so I don't know. I could be wrong, right? So, but anyway, that's your target. Which Street Fighter character is that? Plant Man. So that's kind of why this game is so weird. It just uses those 2 names and has nothing to do at all whatsoever with those 2 titles. So, all right, moving on to the special 8-9 over here. Harvest Moon came out in the 9th of August. And the reason why I chose this one, because this one was did I get this right? No, it should be 8-8, not 8-9. My bad. Or we on the wrong one? Yep, we were on the wrong one. Sorry. So we'll get to 8-9 here in a second. Some other games that had come out on the 8th also was Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles on the GameCube in 2003, Dead Rising on the 360 in 2006, Papers, Please on the Mac and PC in 2013. I played that on my channel too. You play as a border guy, border security guard. It's a super fun game. I don't know if you played it or not. And also, I wanted to talk about Cat Quest 3, and Cat Quest: The Furtastic Trilogy. I'm gonna butcher this, but let's see. I have to remember. These lovely developers at sorry, my bad. I feel so terrible. At Kepler Interactive, sent me a code for Cat Quest 3 to play on stream and to feature it on stream. So I will be doing that soon on the channel. So just keep that in mind. Thanks, shout out to Kepler Interactive for sending me a code. Appreciate you guys. But moving on to the 9th of August, the last card for tonight for This Week in Gaming History is Harvest Moon. Now, why did I pick Harvest Moon over Castlevania 2, No Man's Sky, and Atlas Fallen? Well, I would argue that Harvest Moon is the progenitor of the farming sim cozy game type genre, right? We got Stardew Valley, Sunhaven, all these copycats of all these cozy games. Yeah. Harvest Moon was the original. This is the godfather of all those games. So I wanted to make sure it got its its flowers for tonight. So, have you guys played this version of Harvest Moon? Which Harvest Moon is your favorite? Do you hate this type of game? Tell me a little bit more about that. Go ahead, guys.
Honestly, farming sims aren't really my thing. So, like, I've heard of it, but never really played much.
Eric?
This was one of those games I was telling you about that I watched my cousins play when I was just 6 or 7 years old, and just being astounded by like the day-night cycle. That's something you hadn't seen. It was like you were living in this world. You were able to change and modify this world, and in an era where, like in my head, I'm playing games like Pokemon, where everything is so set in stone and so just not changing, to a game like this where everything is so dynamic. It was blowing my little head.
So when you were a kid, did you find this type of game entertaining, or was it like kind of boring? Because when I was when I was a kid, like I do remember like seeing people play this type of game, and I was always like, "Well, you're not killing anything, like you don't have a sword, you don't have a gun." So I do remember like me not being that interested. Were you kind of like fascinated by these type of games?
I was absolutely fascinated. It was just an adventure,
Yeah,
it was so different, and you didn't suck then, at least from what I saw, from my
yeah.
perspective.
Yeah, I'm for me, it's just like I just want to celebrate this game just because it's made it's done a few things to my in my lens. Like one, it's really attracted a specific type of gamer. I know a lot of people that don't play video games, but they play games like this, right? They just want to chill. They just want to like farm their land, right? They call it cozy gaming, and that's totally fine. It's still a game, right? And so I'm glad that they've really not abandoned this type of game. And, matter of fact, it's probably flourishing at most now. Um, and two, I think it's like it is a good like getaway from the normal like destruction aggro games. You just want to chill, you want to just do your thing, right? Just relax, cozy. My girlfriend hates these games. No, that's kind of crazy, kind of opposite. And but I was like, because she's not a gamer, and I said, well, what would it take you to game with me? And she was like, well, I want something not too complicated. And I was like, immediately cozy games, cozy game. She's like, "Oh, if you're gonna make me play Stardew Valley, I'm not gonna play it." And I was like, "Well, wow, why?" She goes, "You're gonna make me play a game that feels like I'm working? Like, then I'm not gonna play that game." So she had a good argument. She didn't like the fact that she had to like do chores and like kind of do the repetitive things in the game. It's not for her. One game that she did like is Diablo 3, which is really weird. So she's not a gamer, but she loves Diablo 3. So she's quite an anomaly when it comes to gaming because usually I'm like, oh, let's play Harvest Moon if you're not a gamer. But no, she loves Diablo 3. She does not like Stardew Valley. So very interesting on that. A little story for you guys. All right. Well, that's pretty much it for this week in gaming history. As always, thanks for hanging out and thanks for showing us the love. All right, kids. Now it's the time to show you the one of the best crossovers that's been waiting forever. But I'll let Ace handle this. So show us the way.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coming to you from Metro City, the millionaire level playboy Ken Masters. That's right. For the folks that have been keeping an eye on fighting games, Evo Weekend has just wrapped up, and not only was there a playable build of City of the Wolves there featuring this young man right here, but it was announced literally like pretty much end of the tournament yesterday. It was announced that Ken would be fully releasing for Fatal Fury City of the Wolves as of yesterday afternoon. So last day and a half or so in between my God Eater and Monster Hunter sessions, I've been going in and getting in a little bit of practice with Ken. Now, you'd ask, but Ace, you've been playing fighting games. You grew up with Street Fighter. Why do you still need to practice with Ken? Because although there is plenty, and I do mean plenty, that is familiar from Street Fighter, let's just say there's a different sort of feeling, there's a different sort of vibe, a different sort of flow that Ken has in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves as opposed to Street Fighter. But on the plus side, for the folks that made him in Street Fighter 6, then you are going to be pleasantly surprised because Ken has pretty much all of his tricks and all of his tools from 6, with a few modifications. So, I mean, if you've seen Ken in action before, I don't think I really need to explain much about how he plays. Classic Shoto style character. He's got all the bells and whistles. Got your projectiles, your anti-air, your distance coverage. But then, of course, seeing as how this is Ken, you got to expect some extra tricks with him. So, carrying over from Street Fighter 6, he does have his Jinrai kicks. And although it's a 4-button fighter, he still has all 3 variations thereof. So if you do the command for the Jinrai kicks, and then you do, forward and light, or just light kick in general. Actually, no, you're right. It's forward and light, and you get the toe tap. Back and heavy kick gives you the axe kick, and forward and heavy kick gives you the launcher, which, as you just saw right there, if you're in the corner and you landed, you get the Street Fighter 6 Shoryu juggle. Now, he also has his command dash, which has all of the different variations from 6. So if you do his command dash, which is actually a quarter circle backward with punch in City of the Wolves, and then you hit forward and the punches, you get the enhanced dragon punch. Do the run, and then you tap light kick, and he actually does a break stop, kind of like Rock Howard's command dash. Back and heavy kick gives you the enhanced Tatsu. Forward and heavy kick gives you the enhanced Dragon Lash. Speaking of which, he's also got that from 6. And then just tapping heavy kick without any of the directions gives you his advancing step kick. So, again, all of his ground tools, and of course, midair, he's got his midair Tatsu. But unlike in Street Fighter 6, when you actually do the forward jump and then do the heavy kick Tatsu, it carries him forward like in Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Another difference from here compared to Street Fighter is that on the ground, his Tatsu actually knocks down on the last hit instead of having him land and having frame advantage for follow-up attacks. Now, of course, all his moves have EX variants. So you got the EX Hadouken, multiple hits, travels faster. The EX Jinrai kicks gives you the different variations off of the 3rd hit. EX Dragon Lash hits harder. However, if you're still looking for the side switch properties that he has in Street Fighter 6, sorry, let's try that again. Then you'll have to do that off of an anti-air jump. But it's still there, and it can still allow for some rather impressive combo series. Now, one thing I didn't mention about his air Tatsu is that if you do it with light kick, you can actually use it to cross up. So if you're looking to try and do something to, bait your opponents with specials, there you go. That's a good start. EX Tatsu in the air can also do the same thing, so it's good for, mixing up your jump trajectories. Now, his grounded SPG attack with heavy punch and heavy kick is his drive impact. In the air, it's a shorter version of, I think it was his Tatsu Super from Street Fighter, I want to say 4.
So do you think a Street Fighter 6 player can easily adapt to playing City of the Wolves if they play Ken?
Oh, absolutely. A Street Fighter Six Ken main can very easily adapt to City of the Wolves, and I think can I think might actually have a little bit of an easier time considering you know having the ability to chain together your EX specials. Let me go ahead and put the
Andre said, "Yep."
well,
In chat.
let's go ahead and set the power gauge to 100. But here, again, kind of like I showed off earlier, here's a quick example of one of the things he can do with the rev meter off of his EX specials. So if you
Wow.
you know,
Fancy.
so, something like that, where you could literally just like back to back chain his specials together. You can even go from let's see.
Yeah, Andre, that is cool that Ken's wearing Terry's colors and Terry's wearing Ken's colors.
Oh, I did that with the color edit. I'm like, yeah, this is a good idea. So you can go from the Jinrai kicks, Hadoken, Dragon Lash, and even throw in his SPG move to finish it off. Now, of course, let's get on to his supers. So his level one, his potential gear supers.
Classic.
You got the classic Shoryu Repo,
Jinrai.
and you've
Nice.
got the Jinrai. Now, his level two, his red line gear variants. And for those eagle-eyed viewers out there, notice the special effects in the background when he does his supers.
Yeah. That's an inside joke.
And of course, if you've got full bar and you're in a SPG range, then here we have his hidden gear.
Hidden gear. I always found that as an interesting name for a level 3 hidden gear.
And of course, stupid amounts of damage. But let me go ahead and do something a little different here. And that's one of the cool things about this is that you can go from the training mode right into the character's combo trials. So these right here should allow me to show off, again, kind of the recommended combo routes once you get used to utilizing Ken's toolkit here. So also, he has his target combos. So he has his 1-2 from Street Fighter 3. He also has his kick target combo from 6.
Cool.
So you can do.
So he still has his double dragon punch flowchart.
Yep. And actually, now that I mention it, it also shows it off here. And in that last combo trial that I did, his heavy Shoryu and heavy Tatsu, you can cancel that. If you hit like both of the lights, you can break out of that. So,
Oh, cool.
Cut the animation on that to land prematurely, or with the heavy Shoryu, you can break that before he actually takes to the air.
Yeah.
For
Kind
another
of reminds me of SF4 focus canceling.
Yeah, the FADCs.
Yeah.
So let's see. This is supposed to be. There we go. So low heavy punch into his target combo.
Cool.
And then from that, you can actually jump with the heavy shorty. So there we go. Now again, it's not, it's not the insane like 43 hit combos that you'll see from Desk or some of the other pros, but the advanced combo trials will definitely help you. It'll definitely help you chart out.
It helps you. Yeah, it gets you an idea of how the character gets its damage.
Yeah.
As far as
Hey.
optimal routes go, that's like, yeah, not here, not here.
And if anyone actually wants to take a look on my YouTube channel later on, I actually posted up footage of my first raw run through the arcade mode with Ken, and it's really cool just like seeing a Street Fighter character in a proper mainline Fatal Fury game and interacting with the characters and having his own story as it relates to everything else that's going on with Terry and the rest of the crew. And there's even a special ending that I think fans of crossovers might enjoy.
It is Eric, to get you sped up on this. This is the first time a Street Fighter character is actually in a mainline SNK game. SNK is the publisher, the developer, right?
Okay.
Also, in Street Fighter 6, they have Fatal Fury characters that are guest characters, but now they have Street Fighter characters in Fatal Fury game. So that's why it's a big thing for the fighting game community.
Let's go.
Yeah. But one more thing.
Okay, Uncle.
Let's go back to the character select for a moment. Because, of course, you got Ken, but we also have his alternate outfit.
Classic. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what? Just
man, he looks Cobra Kai AF in that old outfit, man.
Right? But one small thing that you'll notice that the developers actually did was with Ken's classic outfit, he actually has more of the sort of stationary, classic, idle stance. It's not the one where he's more bouncy, more active like he is in 6.
Yeah, that's his like SF2 stance.
So it's kind of a nice little throwback there.
Yeah, they give a little love to the character, not just like put a skin over a model. So attention to detail, which is good.
But for the folks that are looking at possibly picking this up, if you do decide to, it is currently on sale right now. I think like 10% off. But buy the game, and I think you can still actually get the first season of DLC for free. So get the game, and on top of that, you will already be able to download both Ken and Andy. So you've got a bit of a head start.
I endorse it. I know this game sales was kind of weird because of its weird marketing, right? But if you guys want to see more of this type of stuff in your video games, like two companies that just love what they do and collaborating, like vote with your wallet, right? So this is the stuff you need to see. So awesome, man. Hey, thanks for sharing with us.
No problem.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
But yeah, if you want to see,
you're gonna say, go ahead.
What other shenanigans I got cooked up? Keep an eye out for next week.
All right. Keep an eye for next week. I see. All right. Well, it's everyone's. They've been waiting for this moment for tonight. No, but and honestly, all right, class. A little bit more on the academic side, and of course on the communication side. Let's pull up a chair because it's time for another roundtable. Now, if it's your first time here at the roundtable, this is where we take a topic from the gaming world and we crack it wide open with a good old fashioned panel debate. But this time it's not really, it's more of a discussion. This isn't just hot takes for clicks. The roundtable is where we slow down, bring in context, and challenge how we think about video games, the industry that we love, and the culture that shapes it. Now, tonight's question is one you probably felt in your wallet before. Should video game demos make a comeback? Back in the day, we had demo discs in magazines, early access slices of games at events, and surprise free trials on consoles. And we do still have some of that today. But somewhere along the way, demos faded out and got replaced by hype cycles, influencer gameplay, and launch day patch notes. Ugh, just makes me shiver thinking about that. But now, with things like Steam Next Fest and a few bold developers dropping demos before a launch, the question is back on the table. Are demos still valuable in 2025, or have they become a relic of gaming's past? So let's discuss. All right, I like to kind of start this conversation, from bottom to top. Let's go start with Ace. Should video game demos make a comeback, or still exist, depending on your situation, I guess?
Honestly, I honestly feel like demos never really should have gone away.
Okay.
Because if there is one thing that has been like the most potent catalyst for just generating sales period, when it comes to not just games but any sort of in entertainment media. I can talk really. But like the one big thing that drives, growth and sales of entertainment media is word of mouth. And one of the things that helps, really spread that is if people can actually get their hands on it, even if it's just a sample,
Yeah. Sample at Costco, right?
right?
Oh, I'm
I
gonna
mean,
buy that. It's good.
right? I mean, heck, let's take it back to 1998, right? You know, you got your PlayStation demo discs,
Yep.
uh, or let's say 1998, you buy a copy of, oh God, what was it? Yeah, 1998. You bought a game. I forget which SquareSoft game it was,
Could be Parasite Eve, could be Brave Fencer Musashi, could be any of those.
but one of those games actually it was Brave Fencer Musashi, because Musashi came with a demo disc where you could play like early sections of Xenogears, and you could play the landing mission in Final Fantasy VIII. So this is like one of the earliest set pieces in the game that really brings the hype and got people interested in seeing what Final Fantasy VIII was about. Especially if you just came off of playing Seven and you're like, man, Final Fantasy VII was dope, and then you see, wait, Final Fantasy VIII, who's this new cat on the cover? And then you throw in the demo and you start hearing that operatic chanting and that epic, movie trailer, movie trailer style trailer, which leads to you getting prepped for the mission, and it goes to that seascape, and you've got the violins, you've got the orchestra starting to play as the ships are just coming across the water. They hit the sand, the team jumps out, and you're making that run through the city. And that whole segment is just, it is distilled hype in a 30 to 45-minute gameplay segment.
Which makes you want to check out the game and buy it, because we didn't have internet back in the day, right? I think demo discs are a product of their time. But before I just jump into that, this is Parasite Eve. right, on the PlayStation, and this actually comes with one of those said demo discs, and this is
That's
like
the one.
shows it right there, right?
Yeah,
So
that's the one because that came with the demo for Xenogears, Brave Fencer Musashi, Final Fantasy VIII, and
Bushido Blade 2.
yep.
So not forget about Bushido Blade. But yeah, I mean, I guess like from what I'm to my understanding, what you're saying is that you can experience like it's like a trailer for like a movie, right? And it doesn't cost you anything. Just buying the game that you already like, right? And then here's some of other stuff if you want to give it a try. You know, do you think they should be still limited on like for example, I buy Diablo 4. Right? Should I have a demo in here for another Activision game? Should I have a demo in here for World of Warcraft or like a trial for World of Warcraft? Do you think that's like a something we should keep doing now?
That sounds pretty reasonable to me.
Hmm. Okay, I'll do some rebuttals here in a second, but I'd like to hear from Eric on your thoughts because you still came from like a disc era, right? Which is, and
Absolutely.
I think at that point, if when you got your N64, there weren't really demos in the N64, right? Because like they're all carts. But the you said you had a 360, and I feel like 360 still had some remnants of demos. If not, you were still able to download them to play next amount of time, right? So tell us your experience about like demo thoughts on.
Absolutely. I remember, what was it? I had the original Xbox, and it had Jet Set Radio Future and like Sega GT
Yeah,
2000,
I remember that.
and there was a demo disc on that one for some sort of like party game.
Fusion
Oh
Frenzy.
gosh, what was it? Yeah, man, I cannot tell you how many times I played that demo disc, just enjoying it. But ultimately, I would love to see them come back because as somebody who has delved into my career, working like 50, 60 hours a week, sometimes it's hard to break through all the hype because it's hitting at you from every angle. Oh, this game is the next innovation. This game. Uh, if that happens, I found myself just going to the classics, going to what felt comfortable. And if that game happened to come with some of the other work, if I could actually get my hands on it and play it instead of just hear that it's a good game from everybody, then I felt like that would probably make a difference for me, honestly.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're more of a hands-on type of person. Like, yeah, they gave it a good review, but I want to play it to see if I like it. Right.
Without a doubt.
Okay. That's a pretty big one. Like, and I think that kind of mentality towards demos really builds trust with the consumer because there's no tease. It's like, am I gonna like this game or not? Unless they find a specific part of the game that's dishonest to what the actual game is, right? Because we pretty sure there's been some switcheroos where I would argue, Andre in chat. I know you said Andre said here. I'll put it on chat. Andre said, "Hell, Ace, Eric, and GQ. I heard of Devil May Cry 3 on the Metal Gear Solid 3 through the Sony demo disc." And yeah, you're right. But at the same time, when we bought Zone of the Enders on the PlayStation 2, there was a demo disc there for Sons of Liberty on Metal
yeah.
Gear, right?
People bought the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo,
Yeah.
and it came with a free game.
yeah. That's that. Yeah, basically that's the way you want to put it. But little did we know when we bought Metal Gear Solid 2, we would not be playing as Snake for the whole game. We would be playing as Raiden, which was not in the demo. So that's kind of like I'm trying to find like, a bad example of having a demo, and this is like one of the big ones.
Yeah.
And because like as interesting as it was, as fascinating and artistic it is for Kojima to do that for us, I did feel it was a big switcheroo because we played that demo with the expectation that Snake was going to be the main character because there was a pretty lengthy portion of the demo. And then once we passed that stage, we got swapped with some guy that we didn't really like. So
And the fact that there wasn't any sort of content featuring him in the demo, I would say is the lion's share of what contributed to folks, if not disliking Raiden, disliking Metal Gear Solid 2 as a whole.
Yeah, and honestly, yeah, I think that's what led to that. But focusing on demo discs. So here's some key points I want to bring up to you. So here's some pros, right? It helps gamers make an informed purchase, just like Eric said, right? I think what's most important is the experience that you have with the game, right? Because I can tell Eric about, like, man, this game's so cool, like I enjoyed it, right? Then he plays it and he's like, oh, I don't enjoy this game because of this thing that when I was playing, right? And he would have not known that because my experience with the game was totally different, right? When I had my hands on it. So
and now I'm at $60.
Correct. So I this is why I said, hey, check out the demo. There's one, right? So, and here's the second talking point. Builds honest hype gameplay speaks louder than marketing. We just talked about that, right? Your experience with the game was more important than like any influencer out there or anybody that you may have that you trust. Like, does the game resonate with you? Okay, so you also talk about Steam Next Fest exposure, how indie games are benefiting massively because of that, because they're getting a chance to try out those games. And I guarantee you right now, with the ocean of games that we do have floating around on Steam, like, you're gonna want to try a demo for these games, because man, that my wish list is always fighting for attention for my $2-3, right? Because like there's so many games that are being released and so many games on sale at the same time. That there is a joke that people just buy Steam games and never play them, right? They just collect them on their Steam library. So there's that. Now, very often, I know Nick's not here, but he's often our guy that says he's kind of like not like anti-demo, but he gives us the reasons why there are no demos anymore, right? So one of the few reasons was dev cost and time for polished vertical slices, right? So if you don't understand what that means, it's trying to give you the most accurate depiction of the game, right? But not giving you the full game. So that requires that cost and time. They have to make, like, for example, like, I didn't Final Fantasy 16 have their own demo, like its own enclosed demo, right? Which is like 4 hours long. That in itself is separate from the game. Like, they have to make that on their own thing, right? So because and I feel like they have to do it that way because of the stuff that's happened in the past with like data mining and stuff like that. People like hacking the game and stuff like that. So they have to make it specifically. Now, Final Fantasy 15 also had that. Their demo was rather unique, though. Their demo was its own chapter. It was a prologue of the game. So you got a chance to play the game, but it wasn't ruining anything of the main game, which is very interesting. Okay. Now, this is what I don't like a lot. Shift towards betas, pre-orders, and early access instead. I feel like we should not have to pay for a game that's an early access, a game that we have to help them fix. Unless, like, for sure, like, it's either provided to me with an incentive. Like, if you pay it now, you get 50% off, right? Free DLC down the road, because you're technically using my time and my data, but still my money to help your game be good. That seems wrong.
It's kind of funny because Legendary Drops actually put up a video discussing that, I want to say earlier today.
Oh, that's odd. I know of Legendary Drops, but I don't really follow, but I'll check that out. Eric, I'd like to get sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he basically said the same thing, that, and he was actually talking more about pre-order. But it's one of those things where it's like, people don't want to put their money down on a maybe. Right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
They don't want to put their money down on a maybe. If they actually get the chance to go hands-on, or let's say if the developer or the publisher decides to, put forth a gesture of goodwill, like saying, okay, if you support this game, you support this game early, or if you decide to pre-order the game, then you'll be able to get it at, say, like 10, 15% off.
Even pre-ordering, that's like committing your money to that. I don't like that idea. It also creates fake sales numbers. because pre-orders is what they go for when basing on the interest of the community, right? So like coming at it from a business perspective, I feel like pre-ordering a game that's in early access is not the final depiction of the final product, so therefore it's mismarketing the game itself. That's just me, I'm being technical, right? So but yeah, Eric, I like to hear your stance on this, since you're kind of like, we're Ace and I are probably the more tenured video gamers, but somebody that's like outside looking in a little bit more and a different perspective. I like to hear that.
Absolutely. I mean, I consider myself a gamer, but definitely not to the level you guys are. And I got burned on No Man's Sky on that pre-order, and I will never do it again. Even on games that I love, like that I know that I love, like Elden Ring's came out. It was the spiritual successor of Dark Souls. I love the series. Not pre-ordering it. Just
Yeah.
It's ruined me. But hands on something early and being able to play it just changes things. I mean, actually, I think I was living with you, James, at the time, and you had the beta, and you actually sat me down at your computer and let me play, and man, that really hooked me.
For
way
which game?
more than any sort of trailer. Elden Ring, the original one.
Oh, right. Yeah, I was in good graces with and I still am, because I got invited to Night Rain. So I mean, I guess I'm in the book somewhere, but yeah, it is important to. And here's the thing, right? A demo is different than right, because a demo is like, check this out, this is done, but this, you can try it out before you buy it. Early access is like, you don't know, like that Star Citizen game, right? It's been in early access for like 8 years. When's that game coming out?
Right.
And people put millions of dollars of money in that game already. So it's like, at this point, they would be silly to just to make it a finished game. Just keep it in early access forever. They already have your money, So that's my like big concern about early access, is that I feel like the more support they have in early access, the slower they go with getting this game released, because it's like, people are already playing the game. Let's take our time, right? But I'm not going to be Mr. Negative here tonight. There is a case where that early access was super important. And Eric, you've played this game. You may not know what it is, but it is Baldur's Gate 3. So Baldur's Gate 3 was actually one of the best examples of early access, where players played the game, complained thoroughly, invested their full $60, by the way, not half deal, right? Not all the classes were out yet. I think when I was made aware of Baldur's Gate 3, Eric, they didn't even have the barbarian yet, the class. Like, that's how early it was. Wow. And they wanted $60 from you to like play the game, right? Now, the positive here is that Larian listened to its audience, right, and was like, cool, we'll note that, and they made the game better because they listened to the fans. But that is Larian, not everybody. So we don't know if other early access games and devs practice that, right? They can be like, oh yeah, we're just needing you guys to test some bugs. It's early access. We're gonna make the game the way we want to make it, right? So that's the fear of early access for me. And also, like, I think this is more toward gear your direction, Eric. The fear of demos turning away casual buyers if the demo is too niche, like what you just said, right? Like, maybe you don't like the game, so therefore, and this is kind of a trash argument, because they're literally saying, we want you to buy the game before you think it's bad. That's another way to say that, right? So like, oh, we want you. We don't want to spend all this money making a demo for you to think it's bad, because we want you to buy it then think it's bad. That's literally what I hear from that. So, all right.
And here's one of the things that I get when I hear demos is, and you were making a really good case about like early access, but demos ironically are kind of like post ordering a game. Like like I would imagine that you'd want to put it on a game that you just came out with, and here, check out some of our older games, and they're already post type. They already have had their big sale. You're generating more people going in and buying those games because they can finally get their hands on it, right? I mean, what does it cost? A code, cost an extra CD that you have to put in the physical disc. It's so easy.
Yeah, in Ace, I know that Nick has talked about cost, and we've kind of pushed back on him on this because it's like you're really gonna talk us about cost when you want to sell a game, right? Like you're gonna play that card, like it's gonna cost you money to make a demo, but you want to sell more copies. You should probably make a demo, you know. But one of the big things about this conversation is the alternative modern solution to demos, right? For example, we have a platform, that caters to that stuff, like time trials, PlayStation Plus, Xbox Game Pass, right? They have time trials in specific games. We have cloud streaming demos, right? I believe like some platforms do this where like they just stream the game for a short amount of time, and then like it stops. Kind of like very similar to like it's kind of like a non. You know how in Steam you can return a game after like 2 hours, right? So cloud streaming, the whole game is still on the cloud. You can stream it and play it, see if you like it for 2 hours. You don't have to buy it. So it's kind of like an alternative way for that. And betas as stealth marketing, that's another conversation to be had. But um, I was under the impression that betas were like for making the game nice and pristine when it gets released, not for the public to be like, hey, check out our game, see if it's broken. you know, like, and I feel like in the past 20 years, probably more now, we've been like the workhorse for the industry, and that early access, these betas as they call it, right? We've been doing their job to save cost on their end, and they've been making trash products because they're being lazy is what I'm saying by cutting corners, and leveraging us into the disguise of playing our game early, right? But like you said, Eric, games like No Man's Sky is nothing like what it is now, right? It's gonna bait and switch. It's marketed differently, right? Stuff like that. So also, some games don't even make it on release. They make it early access and they run out of money or something, and we just never get the full game. So if you put money down on an early access game, what happens? You just lose your money on a game that wasn't done, right? So, I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Uh,
What should be the modern solution? How would Blazing Ace Nelson help fix that?
as far as a modern solution goes, well, there's definitely cases to be made for early access for sure. You know, like you said, well, Baldur's Gate 3 was a good example. Hades is another good example.
Good example.
Oh, that game was in early access, and Hades 2 has been in early access for at least like the past year or so. But the 1.0 release is getting ready to come out, and for the folks that haven't, for the folks that didn't buy in during early access, but might have at the very least been keeping an eye on the game, seeing it progress, it's not the same as getting a demo of the game or actually jumping in there on early access, but you at least see it and you're keeping an eye on it. That right there is a way that folks can still, at the very least, make an informed purchase. However, I still say that the more honest route to go with this would just be, if you've got a vertical slice of the game ready to go, and it's like polished and something that will actually represent the game. If you're spending so much time on marketing and advertising, if you're spending so much money on marketing and advertising, why not put that into building a demo, an interactive advertisement that you can get out to your players who, for the low cost of $3.99, decide to pick it up, take a look, and it's like, I'm smelling what you're stepping in, Sensei. Tell us more. And a great recent example I have of that is, from on Sunday, actually. Because Sunday I downloaded and played the demo for Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Oh boy. Needless to say, like, I was interested, but I wasn't really considering buying it, because I thought, there's other games that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for. I'm going to, make sure I hone my focus on those. But nope, after playing the demo, it's like, and that's going to be $30. Yeah, sign me up.
Nice.
Like,
They
I'm
got
not,
him.
like I'm not going to pre-order the game, but I will definitely be at the very least a post-release sale once that game is out on the market, especially if there's a potential physical edition. Yeah, I'm going for it. Oh well, there we go.
I got it ready for you. I do not work for limited run, just let you know. But I am a fan of this edition. Look at that.
Oh,
Brings you back, doesn't it?
bro.
And then if you want the extra sweaty edition, there it is for $200. So, just keep in mind it is a $30 game, chat. So a lot of the stuff, the $170 you'll be paying for, is just plastic and artwork. So there you go. And a statue. So for those collectors out there, there you go. You can pre-order it now on limited run. Okay. All right.
And again,
sorry, go ahead.
Goes back, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, though. Demos really do help. It's like demos really do help drive sales as a whole, because not only do people get to make an informed decision about what they buy, but they get to do so by actually getting the chance to sample what's there, get an idea of what they can expect.
Yeah. I think they honestly just took the demos away because they didn't want to spend money on them, because I can't think of any negatives, but I don't know. Eric?
Yes. Present.
Your turn, buddy.
Oh.
What is your modern solution to the pro demos? How they should do it? Like, what if you could bring demos back? How would you make it happen?
Listen, if we're talking about the cost, what you have to do is get other corporations in on this. I mean, you talk about like all I have is like indies and promotions going on where you could go down to McDonald's, get a Happy Meal, and get a game disc, right? You could pop that right into the PlayStation. So all of a sudden, if we start seeing demos happening at McDonald's, at Best Buy, at anywhere you go get a tank of gas. All of a sudden, you're walking away with the first level of the new game. I don't know. There's got to be something there.
So you want a demo as an added value to something that you're already making an investment in, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about all the cost that's going into these companies having to invest to get this extra disc out. Make someone else pay for that. Enough, especially in this climate with all this hype going out. If you already have a game that already has a base following that people are going to get hyped about, that that disc that they're going to get is going to be a collectible that they can put right next to the first and second iteration of the game, and here's this cool little demo disc I got. I don't know, I feel like it's an easy sell at that point.
Okay, so you want them to bring back physical media for demos.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even have to be that. It could be a code. It could be something as easy as that.
Okay.
But I don't know. I am a fan of the physical media.
Yeah, no, I think we all are. We all are here as well. I do agree with that. If you have some added value, like if they're doing a collab with like McDonald's or something, if you buy like their promoted meal that they do, right? There should be a code in your receipt for like the game or whatever. That'd be fun. If Shinobi had like some sushi, you buy a 7-Eleven and 7-Eleven like, here's your code for for Shinobi. That's great. I love that. I think it should be so. I think what these companies need to be doing, because they seem to be passing the cost on us versus taking it up to themselves to be responsible. I'm a huge fan of like them. Like if you buy, if I buy like for example, River City Girls, right? River City Girls right here. It's made by Way Forward. So I missed manuals, right? So usually manuals have bunch of content. Old man old manuals had like ads and stuff, right? For them for their other stuff as well. I think having ads for their other games in manuals, I think that's great. I think they should cough up the 15 cents or whatever you want to say how much it costs to be like, hey, we also have these games. Matter of fact, here's the code for the demo in a game that you bought, right? But herein lies the paradox. I gotta buy the game before I get the demo, right? So it's like which comes first, the chicken or the egg? So there's that. Now it's kind of like the same concept as Parasite Eve having the other demos for those other games. That's no different than what I just said, right? But in this era of digital information, you can download the free demos. Like when we say like there's a demo of this game on the PSN store, check it out, right? When they say cost, Eric, they mean developing the demo itself as a cost, right? They have to have a different team that does that. They have to create a small portion of the game and shove it into a separate file, right? It's not just like they cut out a certain part of like their main game and like they have to all these coders and making sure it's a demo, right? So that's the cost that you're talking about. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't give a rip about that. Because the credits to Assassin's Creed Shadows, Eric, and I want to fill you in, Hunter, was 2 hours long. Do you know how many employees had to work on that game for the credits to be 2 hours long?
At least
thousands
5.
of employees. Yeah, 5,000. Yeah. They can afford to make a demo for that game. Now, I can understand why they wouldn't. Maybe the game's booty, right? But is that our fault? Should we buy a trash game? No. Make your game good. Make a demo for it for those that are on the fence, and people were going to buy it. Your game will speak for itself. My thing right now is yes, they won't do demos for their games because they know their games are bad and they won't buy it. Right? That's my thing. If their game was good, people would want to play that game.
So pretty much the best thing about demos is that people can make an informed choice. The worst thing about demos from a publisher standpoint is people can make an informed choice.
Exactly. Because if you stand by your game, especially since they complain so much, like we talk about gaming costs, dev costs all the time on this channel, right? That needs to be assessed by making a better game, less expensive, maybe take some of that budget, put it in a demo, and make your game good. That's all we're asking for. We'll buy your game. We won't talk smack about it, right? We'll tell our friends it's awesome. We'll buy your game. Just make it good. You don't have to trick us into buying it.
Right? If it's good and at least functional.
Yeah. I mean, good is part of that umbrella. Functional. It has to be functional because we can say, oh, it's functional, right? And it doesn't mean it's a good game. So let's be clear on that. All right. Any final statements on the demos? I think we're all in agreement that we should have demos. We should be able to try out, especially if they're thinking about raising the prices on games. Bro, you better give us a demo if a game's $70-$80 now. 100%. No one's buying that shit for $80. Eric's never gonna buy another game thanks to you jokers at No Man's Sky, right? But also, I feel like I've been in that boat with Anthem, right? So I got hornswoggled, that's what they called it back in the times, for that game as well. I played it. I liked the demo, but at the same time, the main game was a demo also. Like I got tricked in a different way.
You want to know what game you would have benefited from at the very least having a playable demo, or an open beta where folks could actually go hands on with it? And I mean just without any of the marketing that already went into the game. But if folks could have actually been able to go hands on with it prior to release, at the very least with 1 or 2 suits, Exoprimal.
Yeah. No, you and I both agree that game plays awesome. It's fun. It's stupid fun. But we weren't going to drop $60 on that game, right? But if people had a chance to try it, on launch, maybe a time trial, maybe like, you only play it for 20 minutes or 10 minutes, right? Like I even like those demos where you get to play the real game for 10 minutes, then it like your 10 minutes are up, you can't play it anymore, right? So like but it's also the way the game is structured. This is why it's complicated. Because what if your game has a long 10-minute intro tutorials, right? And so this by the time you actually get to play it's done. So this is why I mean they need their own demo instead of like actually taking a piece of the game. So and you're right. I agree with you on Extra Primal on that. I feel like it was also marketed really weird. Like you and I we say like, yeah, it's like a Muso game, but not. Like what can I tell you? But they marketed it as like an alternative to Overwatch. And you're like, no,
No.
absolutely not. It has nothing to, I mean, I get where they're coming from, but no, this is fun because of this, not because of that. Right? So anyway, I guess Street Fighter 3 will tell us.
Well, I got the picture.
All right, I agree. All right. So it comes to this question. Does the industry need to bring back demos as a trust building tool, or are we in an era where Twitch streams and pre-orders have replaced the need for the vertical slice, right? So chat, drop your verdict, let us know your official statement on this, because the roundtable isn't about who's right or leaving the last word. It's about starting the conversation, keeping it going. So even though this debate session is closed, the class will continue. Okay. Speaking of which, we'll just jump right on to quickly now playing. Sir, I know you haven't been here in a while, but this is a segment of our stream where we just simply talk about what are you playing these days, aside from Magic again.
I've been pretty locked in Elden Ring Night Rain. It's basically literally all I've been playing when I have a chance.
Yeah. Okay.
Phenomenal gameplay. They changed it up just enough to keep it interesting. They had a lot of small changes, like making archery actually viable, which is something I always wanted in the regular game. And it's just long enough. 40 minutes roughly is what you can invest in, so you're not really taking that 60 100-hour journey and investing that in a game like Elden Ring. You can just sit down, play 1 or 2 games, call it a night, and still have a good time.
Is there enough variety from what you've experienced so far in Night Rain to make it like worth? Well, it's also not a full price title, which is nice, right? Is there enough variety? And as a Souls player, as a Elden Ring fan, is there enough variety in Night Rain to keep your attention?
Unfortunately, not. I can see why the fallout has been pretty big on the game.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun when you first start and engaging, but then you only have like 9 bosses. And sure, they make some bosses stronger, and everyone make one of those bosses and they'll power it up to really strong levels, but it's just not enough for me. I can see they've hit a wall, and I'm really excited to see what sort of DLC, what other classes they're going to bring in. It's got a lot of potential, is what I'll say.
Okay. And I think that's the beauty about Night Rain, is that I know that it's going to be solely focused on content, updates. It is their live service game that they want you playing until they can create the next From Software game, right? I get it. So, I mean, we still haven't seen the Nameless King, right? They showed that in the trailer.
Oh, he's there.
He's there now? They already released him?
Yeah, he's like a Night 2 boss, strangely enough. It's crazy that they took like
That's weird, yeah.
Strongest boss of Dark Souls 3, plopped him down, and he's just kind of like a mid-level boss.
A jobber now? Oh my god, terrible.
One of the things, and I don't mean to regurgitate a lot of what a lot of other people have said, because I know this is not exactly a hot take.
Oh, good.
But Elden Ring Night Rain is like 85 to 90% Elden Ring assets.
Yeah.
It's like they just enough of Dark Souls to like entice you with really cool older bosses, but make it just like that blatantly leaning towards one game. Like, you had a full catalog of bosses that you could have included and made it really pop out.
Well, I think that's going to be like, as somebody that plays like Diablo 4 biblically for like the last 8 seasons, right? I think that's what they're gonna do with Elden Ring Night Rain, is that they'll probably do a season of the souls, season of the blood, right? Where they'll sneak in all the Bloodborne bosses for that season, right, or something like that. And that's how they're gonna stretch out that game, right? So I kind of get the vision, and hopefully I'm right, because like they have an endless catalog to grab. My only ask for Night Rain is dog. At least give us 2 more maps. Like
Oh
change it
yes,
up a little bit.
please,
Change it up a little bit. That's all I gotta
please.
say. Or at least rotate the maps per season so it doesn't get so stiff. That's all I gotta ask. Anything else aside from Night Rain? You still play Rivals or anything like that?
No, no, I'm off that train.
Okay.
That's basically all I got going on these days.
Night Rain. Huh? Okay. Ace.
Yep.
Me, as for what I've been playing, aside from jumping back into God Eater, I have been, I have been neck deep in Armored Core 6 again.
So what made you want to? Are you just in a mech mode? Like is that why you went back to Armored Core 6?
It was honestly, I went back to it because I sat down and I was just scrolling through YouTube at random, and I saw a video on the subtle horror of Armored Core 6.
Good enough for me.
I saw that.
Good enough for me.
You know what? Fuck it.
That game gives me. It's weird because it's a tech dark future mech game, but it gives me creepy vibes. Like that's like from somebody who hasn't played it yet. Like from what I've seen, it still gives me like this like ominous, uneasy feeling when I play that game, which is like weird because it's like, why? It's robots, you know.
Well, I can think of a few things I can say about that as far as like, what kind of spurs on that sort of horror vibe.
Yeah.
Firstly, it's, realizing the sense of scale, because I mean, you're playing through the game and you're moving all over the place at breakneck speeds. You're stomping through, you're blowing stuff up, you're stabbing things with the pile bunker, and then as you come across the structure, you see a door, just a regular sized door that someone like you or me could walk through, and it is like a pinch compared to your AC.
Yeah.
And then you start to think, it's like, wait, if my AC is this big, but a person is only like this big, and then you see the Strider. This thing is so freaking big. It goes from being an object to being a location.
Mm.
And you're just like, what the fuck built this? How? And you just start instinctively going through the logistics, and again, just the sheer size and scale of it all hits you, and you're just like, I need to take a minute.
Yeah, I definitely seen some clips where like, okay, that's big, right?
Yeah.
So I get where you're coming from for sure.
Oh, and spoiler alert for folks that actually do get into the game. When you're facing off against the Strider, your first objective is to take out one of its legs so you can jump onto the thing.
Cripple it first.
It will fall on you.
That's funny.
And it will kill you if you don't move. This has
Spoilers.
happened to me.
Like I'm not gonna play it now. They spoiled it for me. What else have you been playing aside from that? I know you've been playing a lot of beat 'em ups lately.
Yeah, I've been again, there's Shinobi, there's Wendigo Blue, been playing Fight Forever.
Yeah.
Been playing some more Monster Hunter Wilds. Apparently there's like the update before the next big title update that's gonna be happening next week.
Mm-hmm.
Is gonna start introducing more endgame stuff. So
cool. I like it.
Talismans, a new difficulty for the hunts. So they're going to start expanding on the end game coming up next week, as opposed to waiting until September for title update 3.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about that. Could be a totally another episode, but I just feel like they really dropped the ball on Wilds. Like ran off really good start, lost a lot of steam right away. I think they underestimated like how good we got in world,
Yeah.
right? Because they're probably thinking about more newer people that are joining. Because you could feel that like this was very welcoming to new players at Monster Hunter. But for those that are like have been veterans of the titles, like we smashed through the content super
For
fast.
everyone that just came off of soloing Fatalis,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's my only big thing with just give us more content. It's still
but
good.
yeah. Other than that, you know, on my breaks at work, I break out the Switch, play
Okay.
a little Astral Chain.
Astral Chain. Yeah, have you beaten it yet?
Nah, not yet.
Okay. All right. Well, I for one have I play my usual. I have my multiplayer game that I play, Marvel Rivals. Right. I just play that just because it's kind of like my night rain, Eric. I just turn it on, play, 40 minutes pass,
Oh yeah.
play, relax. Right. Um, this is the first time in Diablo that I have not bought a battle pass for this season, so that's interesting. I think I'm finally reaching that point of like, because I remember I played Destiny to a certain point. I think I'm getting to a point in Diablo where I'm like, okay, I'm done with the battle pass, right? So that's just my thing on that. My big thing that I'm playing right now is I'm continuing with the A to Z gaming challenge, and I don't know if you do you know what that challenge is that I'm doing, Eric?
I feel like I've heard it before. Is that the I know you're playing Mass Effect 2 right now. Is that what that
Yeah, that's part of
is?
it. Yeah, so I've already played Mass Effect
Part
1,
of it? Okay,
beaten it.
yeah.
I'm playing 26 games this year that I've not played yet, and I'm playing of one letter in the alphabet, right? And so
Oh,
M was for Mass Effect. I'm playing Mass Effect 2 to continue the story. I'm counting it as one game, right? So that's where I'm at. I'm actually almost done. I'm doing all the loyalty missions, and I'm gonna do the suicide mission after that. I hear that's like the big one, right? So Andre said I'm playing through 26 games. Yes. And I'm only like 40% done. That's why I got to speed things up a little bit. Notice I'm kind of lacking. So, but aside from that, I'm actually finally getting into Street Fighter 6 for the first time in years. I played it as a demo, kind of funny. And then I dropped it and pursued Tekken 8. But as I play Street Fighter 6, I'm kind of just rediscovering myself as a fighting game player. It's kind of interesting where I'm like, okay, this is what it's like playing Street Fighter,
Hey,
after all this time because I started playing fighting games in Street Fighter.
good time to come
Um,
back considering Sagat just dropped today.
yeah, and I've been playing for like a month now, right? I play ranked mode and I've played Ryu, Marissa, and Honda, right? As my three characters that I've been trying out. Oddly enough, the best character I've ranked up with was Honda. He's in Platinum 4 already. Marissa's on Platinum 3, and Ryu's on like Diamond or something. He's like really behind. like but I feel like seems weird because like I'm a Shoto player. I've been playing Ryu and all those characters for the longest time, but I also feel like people have fought them for the longest time, right? So it's a little bit harder to advance with those characters. But I'm having a fun time with Marissa. I'm having a great time with Honda. Honda is such a great character in this game. Super fun. And all it took was to give me a motion input on 100 hand slap, which that's all it took for me to like E Honda, which is crazy. Sagat coming out. I'm excited for the future of the game. See, Viper looks cool. Alex was one of my favorite characters in Street Fighter 5 and 3, so I'm excited for him to come out as well. I'm taking a break from Tekken 8. The game is crazy right now, but I will come back because Armored King had been announced, and he looks awesome. He looks great.
Yeah.
But I'll get back to that once he gets released. I think in October, so we got some time. But yeah, with that said, I mean, we'll just move on to the final segment of our show, which is the final boss here.
Well, I got the picture.
Yes, I know you did. All right. So if it's first time here, this is a very important part of the show. This is pretty much the final checkpoint of each class. And if you've been here before, you know exactly what that means. Right? So this segment is what I call the final boss. This segment is where we pause the patch notes, silence the discourse, and talk about the life XP we earn through gaming. Because here at the Gaming Academy, we believe that video games aren't just entertainment, they're loaded with life lessons. And if you know where to look, you'll find some good answers. Now, tonight's message: your progress isn't always on the screen. Now, in games where we obsess over progress bars, EXP meters, skill trees, and so on. But I think about titles like Dark Souls, Hades, right, or any roguelike grind. You can fail over and over without the game handing you a level up. Now, but that doesn't mean you're getting worse. Matter of fact, you're still getting better. Now, every attempt sharpens your skills, even if there's no flashy reward screen to tell you so, and life works the same way, right? In games like Dark Souls, Hades, or Dead Cells, you can grind for hours without seeing a flashy level up or a victory screen. I know I played Hades recently, and I know exactly how that feels. But you're still improving. You're learning patterns, you're building muscle memory, and sharpening reactions. I really felt like I was leveling up in Hades as died over and over again from mistakes. But even if the game doesn't give you a progress bar, life is very similar to that. You may feel like you're stuck grinding through work, your skills or personal challenges with no visible ding that lets you know that you've leveled up, but keep going. But growth is indeed happening, just quietly and subtly. And when the real boss fight comes, you'll realize that any unseen progress has prepared you for that moment. So just keep that in mind. Like, it won't be obvious to you, but just know that any effort that you do contributing to what your goal is in life, like you'll kind of like that. It's they're still happening in the background, right? Like kind of like your computer. Stuff's processing in the background. You're just not aware that it's happening. How about you guys? You guys want to share any kind of like progress that isn't always on the screen for y'all? Like, have you guys been kind of following that for you guys self?
Well, yeah, I mean, just to kind of keep it short, it's as simple as this. Evolution is subtle.
Yep.
Like on a macro level, you know, creatures and species evolve over centuries, millennia, and more. But while the drastic changes, happen at certain pivotal points, what builds up to that is all the subtle stuff, all the quiet stuff between. So again, it's just there's a reason why people say that life is more about the journey than the destination, because in the space between milestones, that's where growth, that's where strengthening, that's where improvement happens.
Yeah, those little moments in life where life forces you to be like, hey, take some time to kind of like pat yourself on the back. You did good today. You did good. Matter of fact, it may not feel like it, but you're doing all right. And we often talk about that on the channel, how like, you know, give yourself a pat on the back, take it easy on yourself a little bit, but like you're doing good. It may not seem that way, just like today's topic, it's happening in the background, right? And what I learned today too is that if things get uncomfortable, that's called growth. If things get comfortable, you need to be challenged because you need to grow, because you've already mastered and you feel so comfortable around it already that you're not afraid of it anymore. Therefore, you need to develop yourself more as a person. Like, you've beaten that level, therefore we need to give you another challenge. So
That's it's the question from God of War Ragnarok. Does it make you scared?
yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you scare me, Kratos.
Why would
100%.
you do it?
Be better, boy. What about you, Eric? Got anything to share with us? And in the chat, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, life, I had planned it out as if it were a game, as if there were these milestones that I had to complete, graduate college and then moving on. And and then, you know, having all these, and it really took to not so easily, right? That made me stop and reflect on everything. Instead of following the main quest, as it were, it really just made me stop and appreciate what I had and start reflecting and growing. You know, there's something to be said for that. I encourage you guys to sometimes, you know, you can be so hyper focused on something, but it's to sit back and reflect on your life occasionally.
Yeah. Andre said the journey is more fun than the destination. Absolutely, man. I could get to Grandmaster and Street Fighter, right? But what's the point of that if I didn't like have fun during the way? If I didn't enjoy the battles I was fighting, right? If I came at it with just like, oh, I'm just gonna fight, but not have fun, then what's the point, right? It's just a thing on the screen that says I'm Grandmaster. Everyone, there's a lot of people in the world that are like that, right? But what's in it for you? Like, did you have fun? Did you learn something from it? Like, you got some takeaways from that. So that's really good. So Andre also said that his goals this year is to get healthier, stream more and more, and he's also not done learning. That's good. That's good to kind of like, you know, being able to identify those things about yourself, you know, moving forward. Okay. Now, as far as me, I'm kind of the same thing. Every time I add something new to the show, a new project to add for myself personally, like I started building, you know, to sell on eBay, right? So that's stuff that's all new. It's uncomfortable. At the same time, it's still fun. I got a new promotion at work, right? I'll be, you know, doing different things. You know, I can't. My big thing, and I always wear it. Biblically, is I always tell myself, focus on what you can control, and you know, don't worry about the things you can't control, right? So you can't control things, but you can control how you can respond to those things. Is another. That's the thing that is what empowers me to keep moving, keep progressing, just like you guys. And my, you know, my XP bar is, you know, it's up and down. I feel like when you mess up, you go down a level, but at the same time, just like in Hades, you know what to do next. You adapt and you move on forward. I think it took me 26 runs on Hades to beat the first completion, right? So maybe on my second completion, it'll only take me 13. You know, maybe on my third one, it'll only take me 7, right? So you get better as you go, right? And you want to try different things, otherwise things get stale. Yes, I've beaten Hades with a sword already. Now I want to check it out with the gloves, right? Oh, it's a little bit harder with the gloves, but hey, I'm learning, you know, and then I'll eventually beat it with the gloves.
The bow is where it's at.
Yeah, the bow. You like the bow? I like the gun.
The bow is the best.
The gun is my choice. So, but yeah, that's yeah. Any final words before I you know, close out the stream tonight?
No, but Scorpio definitely brought up a couple of good points as well.
Yeah.
You know, firstly, you know, it takes many forms to go from a child to an elderly.
Yep.
You know, and again, you know, it's one of those things where you know, you see how you looked as a child compared to how you look as an older individual, but each of those wrinkles on your forehead tells a story of what happened in between. Again, the space where the growth happens. And also, don't cheat in life. Don't cheat in life. You know, the more you try and cut corners, you're really just doing yourself a disservice. And honestly, have fun earning that XP.
I love it.
Yep. So does the Smash TV announcer. He loves it.
Let's go.
All right. So I'll close it out with this for tonight, and you guys can enjoy the rest of your week with these words. Okay. So here's your final boss moment. If you're stuck in a grind, whether if it's your job, you know, your content creation, relevant, your fitness, Andre, or anything else, remember, progress is happening even when you can't see it. You're leveling up in the background. Stay consistent, stay patient, and when the real boss fight comes, you'll be ready. So that's been your final boss wisdom for tonight. Keep grinding, keep raising that gamer quotient message, and never forget, even though class is dismissed, the academy is always in session. All right, Ace, close us out. What you got?
Yep. Again, thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. Everybody on the panel, everybody in the chat. Y'all have been great as always. If you've been seeing us on Twitch, you know where to follow us. Blaze Nathan Nelson, GQAzndood, or GQ Asian Gaming on Twitch or Twitter. Excuse me. Like every day between the two of us, there's always going to be something going on. But until next week, keep those pencils sharp, keep those notebooks open, keep your heads in the books. And until then, class dismissed.
All right. Have a good night, guys. And here's a little something for you before you go.
Mission complete.